Meeting all of these teams, like this is their passion, this is their life.
I could forget everything that I was going to say, and this could...
Chip and Joanna Gaines have long been the faces of the perfect American family. But behind the scenes, they navigated private crises that led to a moment no parent ever wants to face. When news broke about their fifth son, joy was quickly replaced by intense public concern. Fans spotted details pointing toward a troubling diagnosis, sparking a massive medical mystery. This is the story of the quiet battles and high-stakes decisions that changed everything. Join us as we uncover the truth behind the headlines. Cheerleading spinal trauma. Long before Joanna Gaines became a household name for her design skills, she was a high school student in Texas with a passion for cheerleading. In the 1990s, cheerleading was undergoing a major shift. It was moving away from simple pom-pom routines and becoming a highly competitive athletic sport. To stand out, squads performed difficult stunts that required immense strength and precision. Joanna was right in the middle of this high-energy environment, unaware that a single moment during a routine would change the health of her back for the next 30 years. The specific move that led to her injury is known as a basket toss. This is one of the most dangerous stunts in cheerleading. In a basket toss, 3 or 4 cheerleaders, the base, interlock their hands to create a platform. The flyer, which was Joanna's role, steps onto this platform and is launched high into the air. The goal is for the flyer to perform a trick at the peak of the jump and then be caught safely by the teammates below. However, during one routine, the mechanics of the stunt failed. As Joanna was thrown into the air, the timing or the positioning of the catch went wrong. Instead of a soft, controlled landing into the arms of her teammates, Joanna fell. The physics of the fall were devastating. Because she was falling from a significant height, her body gathered a lot of speed and force. When she hit the ground, that force was not spread out. It was concentrated directly on her lumbar spine, which is the lower part of the back. This area of the body is responsible for supporting most of your weight and allowing you to bend and twist. The impact caused immediate damage to the discs and the rubbery cushions between the bones of the spine. At the time, Joanna did what many young athletes do. She tried to push through it. In the world of competitive sports, there is often a culture of no pain, no gain. She likely believed the soreness was temporary and that her body would eventually heal itself. This period of early management was actually a period of denial. She continued to be active, but the injury wasn't going away. Instead, it was slowly transitioning from an acute injury, something that happened suddenly, into a degenerative condition. A degenerative condition means that the structure of the spine begins to wear down over time. Because the initial trauma wasn't treated properly with rest or medical intervention, the discs in her lower back began to weaken. Every time she lifted a heavy object, stood for long hours, or even walked, the damaged area was under stress. For years, she managed the pain privately, building a career and a family, while her spine was slowly reaching a breaking point that would eventually require surgery. But even as she built a business empire, her back wasn't the only health hurdle she had to face. Anatomy of microdiscectomy. By 2001, the back pain Joanna had been trying to ignore since high school finally reached a breaking point. It was no longer just a dull ache that she could walk off. The damage to her spine had progressed to the point where her body began to send out emergency signals that were impossible to disregard. She started experiencing a condition called sciatica. This happens when a damaged disc in the lower back presses directly against the sciatic nerve, which is the largest nerve in the human body. For Joanna, this meant a sharp, shooting pain that traveled from her lower back, through her hip, and all the way down her leg. Along with the pain came a scary feeling of numbness. When a nerve is squeezed for too long, it stops sending signals correctly to the brain, making the leg feel heavy or asleep. Eventually, she began to lose her mobility. Simple tasks like bending over to pick something up or even standing at a sink became incredibly difficult. It was clear that she could no longer manage this on her own, and surgery became the only way to get her life back. The procedure she underwent is called a microdiscectomy. To understand this surgery, you have to look at the structure of the spine. Your spine is made of bones called vertebrae, and between those bones are soft discs that act like shock absorbers. When a disc is injured, the soft material inside can bulge out. This is called a herniation. In a microdiscectomy, a surgeon makes a small incision in the back. They use a special microscope to see the area clearly and then carefully remove the tiny piece of the disc that is sticking out and pressing on the nerve. By removing that specific bit of material, the pressure on the nerve is released, which allows the pain and numbness to stop. After the surgery, Joanna had to focus on a slow and steady recovery. This was a critical time in her life, years before the world knew her as a famous designer. She had to rebuild the strength in her core and back muscles to support her spine. For a while, the surgery felt like a success. She was able to move more freely and started building what would eventually become the Magnolia empire. However, even with the successful surgery, the pain never truly left for good. During the early, busy years of starting her business, she began to feel phantom returns of the pain, small reminders that her back was still vulnerable. While she was working hard to keep her back strong, a new and unexpected challenge was about to put even more stress on her body. 2022 Medical Crisis. In late 2022, Joanna Gaines faced a major medical crisis that could not have come at a more difficult time. December is usually the busiest month for the Gaines family because they are managing the holiday rush at their many Magnolia businesses, including the shops and the restaurant. On top of her professional duties, Joanna is a mother to 5 children, and she wanted to make the holiday season special for them. However, the old injury from her cheerleading days returned with a vengeance. The pain became so sharp and constant that she realized she could no longer push through it. She was facing a December deadline where she had to choose between finishing her holiday to-do list or undergoing a second emergency back surgery. This second surgery was another microdiscectomy, similar to the one she had in 2001, but the medical situation was much more complicated this time. When a surgeon operates on the same part of the back twice, they have to deal with something called scar tissue. Scar tissue is the thick, tough skin that forms inside the body after the first surgery. During the 2022 procedure, the doctor had to carefully move through this old scar tissue to reach the spine. This is difficult because scar tissue can stick to the sensitive spinal nerves, making it harder for the surgeon to see exactly where the damaged disc ends and the healthy nerve begins. This increased the risk of the surgery and made the recovery process much more intense than it was 20 years earlier. Instead of hiding this struggle, Joanna made a surprising choice. She posted a photo from her hospital bed, wearing sunglasses and a hospital gown, while giving a peace sign to the camera. This was a big shift from the perfect image people usually saw on her television shows. Usually, fans saw her as someone who could fix any house and handle any problem without breaking a sweat. By sharing this hospital selfie, she showed her followers that she was a vulnerable patient who felt pain just like everyone else. It was her way of telling fans that it is okay to slow down and ask for help when your health is at risk. But as she lay in that hospital bed recovering, her mind went back to another time when her health and the health of her baby were at the center of a national conversation. Ultrasound controversy. In 2018, Chip and Joanna Gaines surprised everyone by announcing they were expecting their fifth child. This news was a major shock to their fans because their youngest child at the time was already 8 years old. Most people assumed the couple was finished growing their family, especially since they were so busy with their television show and businesses. When they shared the news that they were having another boy, whom they would later name Crew, the initial reaction was pure excitement and joy from millions of followers around the world. However, the mood shifted quickly when Joanna posted a photo of her baby's ultrasound. In today's world of social media, millions of people look at every detail of a photo. Some fans, including people who worked in medical fields, began to point out something they found worrying in the image. They noticed what looked like an excess of fluid around the baby. This observation started a massive debate online, and soon a social media firestorm broke out as people began to speculate that the baby might be very sick. The specific condition people were worried about is called hydrops fetalis. This is a very serious medical situation where a fetus has an abnormal buildup of fluid in at least 2 different parts of the body, such as around the heart, the lungs, or under the skin. The medical stakes for this condition are extremely high. When too much fluid builds up, it puts a massive amount of pressure on the baby's developing organs. This can lead to heart failure because the heart has to work too hard to pump against the fluid. It can also cause life-threatening complications that make it difficult for a baby to survive until birth. Because of these scary possibilities, fans were terrified for the Gaines family. To help calm the public, a medical expert named Dr. Nicole Safier stepped in to provide a counter-voice. She explained that it is very dangerous to make an armchair diagnosis based on a single low-quality photo on the internet. Dr. Safier pointed out that ultrasounds use sound waves to create images, and sometimes those waves can create shadows or spots that look like fluid but are actually just a normal part of the imaging process. She reminded everyone that only the doctors in the room with the patient have the full information needed to make a real diagnosis. While the world was busy arguing over medical photos, this new baby was already changing how Chip and Joanna looked at their entire future. The emotional core. The birth of Crew Gaines in June 2018 was much more than just the arrival of a fifth child. It was the main reason Chip and Joanna decided to change their entire lives. Before Crew, the couple was working at a pace that was almost impossible to keep up with, filming constant episodes of their hit show while running a massive business. Crew served as the catalyst for change, which means he was the spark that made them realize they needed to stop. They wanted to make sure they didn't miss the small, quiet moments of his childhood the way they sometimes had to during the busiest years of their early fame. Raising Crew has been a unique experience because it feels like parenting a second generation. While their older children, like Drake and Ella, were entering adulthood and heading off to college, Chip and Joanna were back to changing diapers and teaching a toddler how to walk. This created a house with a very wide range of needs. They had to navigate the high-stakes world of college sports and professional design with their teenagers while simultaneously focusing on the simple, everyday milestones of a young child. One of these milestones happened recently in 2025 and became known to fans as the seaweed incident. Crew had taken seaweed in his school lunch, and some of the other children teased him because it looked different from their food. Instead of getting upset, Crew showed the grounded way he was being raised by offering to bring enough seaweed for everyone in his class to try. This small moment showed how the family prioritizes kindness and confidence over fitting in with the crowd. However, raising a child in the public eye also comes with serious safety risks. In late 2025, while filming their new show at a mountain house in Colorado, the family had a scary encounter with a bear. Chip was exploring the woods with crew when they realized a bear was nearby. This mountain house scare was a frightening reminder that no matter how famous they are still parents who have to protect their child from real-world dangers. It underscored why they have become so protective of their family time and why they choose their projects so carefully now. But crew isn't the only one growing up fast, as the older Gaines children are now stepping into the spotlight with their own big dreams. Older children today. As the calendar turns to early 2026, the older children of the Gaines family are no longer the small kids fans remember from the early days of television. They are now young adults carving out their own paths in sports and design. The eldest son, Drake, is now 21 years old. He has spent the last few years focusing on his passion for baseball at the University of Mary Hardin Baylor. Drake serves as a relief pitcher, which is a role where he comes into the game during the later innings to help his team secure a win. His journey has not been easy. He missed the entire 2024 season due to a significant injury that required surgery and months of physical therapy. However, by 2025, he made a successful return to the pitcher's mound. His comeback was an emotional moment for Chip and Joanna, as they watched him regain his strength and continue his athletic career at the college level. Their eldest daughter, Ella Rose, is 19 and has officially started her professional career in the family business. In late 2025, she made her debut in the spin-off show, Fixer Upper, Colorado Mountain House. In this project, Ella took the lead on designing a 1960s cottage. She worked on choosing the colors, textures, and furniture to bring the space back to life. This was a major milestone because it showed that she has learned the skills of design from her mother. Many people now see her as the person who will eventually take over the Magnolia design brand, continuing the work her parents started. Duke, who is 17, is also a talented athlete. He is currently a senior at Valor Preparatory Academy in Waco, Texas. Duke is a standout left-handed pitcher and also plays center field. Being a left-handed pitcher is often seen as a big advantage in baseball because it can be harder for many hitters to face. As he prepares for his high school graduation in the spring of 2026, he is following in his brother's footsteps by focusing on his development as a high-level baseball player. The youngest daughter, Emmy Kay, just celebrated a very big milestone in January 2026, her sweet 16th birthday. This birthday is a special moment for many teenagers because it represents a transition toward independence. For Emmy, this meant getting her driver's license and beginning to drive herself to school and activities. Joanna shared on social media how emotional it was to see her youngest daughter hit this age, as it marked the end of an era where all the girls were still little and under her direct care at home. While the children are busy building their own futures, Chip and Joanna have to make a very difficult choice to step away from the fame that made them stars. Ending Fixer Upper. In October 2017, Chip and Joanna Gaines released a statement that felt like a bombshell to their millions of followers. At that time, their show Fixer Upper was at the absolute peak of its popularity. It was one of the most watched programs on television, and their business was growing faster than ever. When they announced that the upcoming 5th season would be their last, the real-time reaction from fans was a mix of shock and sadness. People could not understand why a couple would walk away from such a massive success when they were at the top of their game. Behind the scenes, however, there were very important reasons for this choice that the public did not fully see at first. This was the hidden why behind their departure. One of the biggest factors was Joanna's physical health. After years of long filming days, constant travel, and the physical labor of renovating homes, Her body was reaching a point of total exhaustion. As we know now, her long-standing back issues from her cheerleading days were a constant source of pain. Trying to maintain a perfect smile for the cameras while her spine was under constant stress was becoming impossible to manage. Additionally, the timing of their exit was closely tied to Joanna's pregnancy with Crew. Because Joanna was 40 years old at the time, this was considered a high-risk pregnancy. A high-risk pregnancy means that there is a higher chance of health problems for either the mother or the baby, and it requires much more rest and medical attention. The grueling schedule of filming a television show, which often involves 12-hour days and tight deadlines, was not a safe environment for someone needing to prioritize their physical well-being. They realized that they needed a total lifestyle overhaul. They had to stop choosing work over their health and their family's future. To fix this, they focused on decompressing the Magnolia brand. Decompressing means they took the pressure off by changing how their business worked. Instead of being the main stars who had to be on camera every single day, they shifted into a more controlled corporate environment. They built a team of experts and designers who could handle the daily tasks of the business. This allowed Chip and Joanna to step into leadership roles where they could make big decisions from an office, rather than being on a construction site all day. By moving away from the strict production schedules of network television, they finally gained control over their own time. This shift allowed Joanna the space she needed to heal her back and focus on the arrival of her fifth child without the constant pressure of a film crew following her every move. Now that they were no longer tied to television cameras, they had to figure out a new way to live and work that wouldn't break their bodies. Slower Magnolia mechanics. After stepping back from their original show, Chip and Joanna had to redesign their daily lives to fit Joanna's physical needs. These changes are what we call slower Magnolia mechanics. On a film set today, Joanna's role looks very different than it did 10 years ago. Because of her chronic back issues and her 2 surgeries, she can no longer participate in the heavy lifting that comes with home renovation. She has clear physical limitations, meaning she cannot move heavy furniture, carry large building materials, or stand for many hours without a break. To stay healthy, she has shifted toward administrative oversight. This means she spends more time in meetings and looking at design plans on a computer or paper, rather than doing the manual labor herself. She manages a team of designers who do the physical work while she provides the creative direction. While her work life slowed down, her home life faced a new kind of emotional challenge. Joanna has been very open about the empty nest transition. This is the time when children grow up and move out of the house to start their own lives. With Drake away at college and Ella Rose also leaving for her own studies and projects, Joanna has talked about how quiet the house feels. She has been candid, or honest, about how difficult it is to adjust to the change in the family rhythm after decades of having all her children under one roof. To help her body heal and prevent more back pain, the Gaineses also changed how they eat and live. They focused on dietary and inflammatory management. Inflammation is a process where the body's immune system causes swelling and pain, which can make back injuries feel much worse. To fight this, they started eating more anti-inflammatory foods, such as leafy greens, berries, and fish that are high in healthy fats. They also cut back on processed sugars that can cause more swelling in the joints and spine. These specific changes help keep Joanna's spinal health stable, so she can stay active without needing more medical procedures. Even with all these changes, there is one person who has had to step up more than anyone else to keep the family moving forward. Chip, support system. Throughout Joanna's long battle with her back health, Chip Gaines has had to step into a role that most fans don't see on television. For years, the world viewed Chip as the handyman, the person who swings the sledgehammer and handles the heavy construction. However, every time Joanna faced a surgery or a major relapse in pain, the family dynamics had to shift completely. During these recovery periods, Chip became the primary caregiver. This means he took over all the daily tasks Joanna usually handled, such as organizing the children's schedules, managing the household chores, and physically helping Joanna move around the house while she healed. One of Chip's most important jobs was managing the narrative, or the way the family's story was told to the public. Whenever Joanna received a troubling diagnosis or had to go into the hospital, it was often Chip who shared the news with their followers. He had to handle the saying goodbye moments, like when they officially left their original show, in a way that was honest but didn't cause too much panic. He acted as a protective shield, giving fans enough information to feel connected while keeping the most private and painful details safe within their family. By taking on the role of the public spokesperson, he allowed Joanna to focus entirely on her physical therapy and rest without the pressure of explaining herself to millions of people. Behind the scenes, this took a significant psychological toll on Chip. Most people know him as the fun-loving husband who is always making jokes and keeping things light. However, balancing that happy public persona with the reality of a spouse facing permanent mobility challenges was very difficult. Permanent mobility challenges mean that Joanna may never be 100% free of pain or physical limits. Chip had to process the reality that his partner might not be able to do all the active things they once did together. He had to stay strong and positive for their 5 children while dealing with his own fears about Joanna's long-term health. This shift in their relationship actually made their bond stronger. Instead of just being business partners or co-stars, they became a team that knew how to handle a crisis. Chip's willingness to slow down his own ambitions to support Joanna's recovery is a major reason why the Magnolia brand survived such difficult times. He showed that being a handyman isn't just about fixing houses. It's also about helping to fix the lives of the people you love when things go wrong. Now that you know the truth behind the Gaines family's biggest health struggles, you can see why they value their quiet life on the farm more than ever. After everything they have been through, Chip and Joanna Gaines have shown that the most important thing they will ever build is not a house, but a healthy family. Their journey proves that even the most successful people must listen to their bodies. By choosing health over constant fame, they turned painful medical challenges into a story of balance. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment below. Which part of Joanna's journey inspired you most? Click the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.